burst into tears the first time I came to a place like this, just purely because of just the gratitude. I was bowled over by the generosity, and it really has made a massive difference to my life.
It's a big world to be on your own, you know, and having a lovely place like this to come, even just for a chat and a cup of tea, it's like, it opens up your world, you know. It saves you from doing silly things.
Most people that come to these places have been through suffering, definitely. All the different degrees of suffering. Oh, I found it really difficult at times, you know, thoughts of taking my life, and very hard at times. But coming here it's almost invisible, it just lifts you.
It's Good Friday morning. What Friday? I'm Mo McCulloch, and today I'm asking what it's got to do with us, with the help of a food bank in South Leith. Ian May, you're the minister here at South Leith Parish Church. We're talking here on Good Friday morning. I suppose it would be easy to make a simplistic link between the Good Friday story of suffering and the kind of suffering that you see around you in your community. Is that simplistic, or do you make those parallels?
One of the aspects of Good Friday we can't get away from it is the suffering of Christ in his passion and his death by crucifixion, which was a brutal way to die in anyone's imagination. But we have to then think about the suffering of the world and the suffering of our own local community, because there's a lot of suffering in the world, but we can't solve all that. But as local Christians working a local Christian community, we can do something about the suffering that we see on the streets here and try to change it. Christ came into this world to stop the suffering, to say there's a different way, there's a more just way, a more fair way to this, how we do things in our society.
$24 vouchers plus two walk-ins in just over an hour. We have a lot of baby stuff too. We have nappies and baby wash, various things for children. A lot of people will say the bairns are fine. We've made sure that the bairns, we've got all the stuff that we need for the bairns. It's just that we need food for ourselves. Brilliant people. They're putting their children first and they're not eating. We make a wee cup of tea, try to make the people welcome. We try to put down the sugar and milk in that to make it more like a cafe. And I think that makes a difference as well. But mostly we're all retired. And one young woman said last week, oh, here I'm sitting here waiting on a cup of tea coming, and all these old age pensioners are running about like that. So they're nice people.
Ella and Anne are two of the volunteers keeping things going here.
As the months and weeks go by, I think it's definitely getting busier. We see more people who are younger, and on a Monday we have an awful lot of single men, which wasn't how it was to begin with. We don't just offer food, we offer a hot drink and some biscuits or cake, and we will chat with people and offer any other help that we can give them, whether it's to guide them on to another place for the things they need, or to suggest that they go back to their GP, and just to try and generally give them some support.
We had a young man into the food bank. He was very anxious, suffered from anxiety problems, and fortunately it was a quiet day. So he sat, he had a couple of cups of tea, and he was telling us that he had absolutely nothing, not a thing in his cupboard. So we gave him his bits and pieces and some extra stuff, and I tried to persuade him to come back to the breakfasts that we do on a Sunday morning in the church. We promised him he didn't have to sit with the rest of the people, he could take it away, and lo and behold, he came back on Sunday morning for his breakfast, and he took it away, sat outside, and he had it. And I've really felt that that was a bit of a success, that this chap who was so anxious actually managed to come back. And I don't know whether it was because he thought he was maybe going to know somebody else there as well, that maybe helped. And I was really, really happy on Sunday to see him.
It's difficult when you've been brought up in a totally different way, because I got brought up in a totally different way. I mean, I'm scared to be around a lot of people that are like, it's too close, can you? There's always your space there you need, you know. And I've never felt safe around other people just because I've never felt safe around my mum. I've never felt safe around my mum's boyfriend. The only time I've ever felt safe is when I put my key in the back of my front door and I'm locking it. My mum used drugs, my mum used alcohol, and that's what's made me as sensitive to the world as what I am. I can't handle stress, I can't handle anxiety. I don't even let the microwave ding when it's finished. I don't even let the kettle pop when it's finished. I don't even let my tap go full belt because it makes so much noise for me and I can actually feel the surge of the water coming through the tap, you know. All that stuff, that destroys me, that splits me apart, it just turns me upside down and it's killing me from the inside out. I cannot wait until I can actually stop taking this medication because it's making me feel like a walking zombie. It's like somebody just unplugged a computer. I felt no human. And to have that feeling, as well as having the thoughts that are running through your head, it can be quite a lonely place. Being on your own is the worst feeling in the world. I hate it. It's not a place that anybody should be or wants to be by their own accord. I don't know what love is because I've never had it for even my ma. I've had nobody but just handed me evilness since the day I was 2 years old. I got battered every single day when I was leaving the house. I got battered every single day when I was in the house. And your mum's supposed to bring you into a world and protect you. Your mum's supposed to feed you up, you know what I mean? We'll go on holidays, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll do this, and all it was since the day I was born.
Just chaos.
Yeah. I mean, see, when I got to 14, that was when I found myself on the streets and straight to the social work department. And they were like, why did she kick you out? And I was like, all she said to me was, and I can't read or write it, she handed me this, and the social workers read it. All you were born for was the money, because your mum wanted alcohol and drugs. I was only 14, 15, but I wanted to go into Kerry. But nah, there was not enough places, so they gave me my first house, and I've been on my own ever since. And then coming here, I'm getting choked up, by the way, sorry. Coming here, see the love and the passion in these lovely ladies and gentlemen's eyes. It makes me happy coming here. And I'll be honest with you, I don't even want to leave sometimes. If it wasn't for them, I'd probably end up breaking the law, being in and out of the jail again. I'd probably end up just finishing myself in the cell.
October 2012. That's when all the food banks in Leith started.
It started off really 4 or 5 people coming on a Friday. Sometimes now we have 24, 25 vouchers on a Friday, which is, that's a lot of vouchers and it's a lot of mouths to feed because some vouchers are maybe feeding 4 or 5 people, 2 adults, 3 children, and if you add it up, it's maybe take you up to about 40 mouths on a Friday.
There's 2 communities that are in need in some respects here in Leith in relation to food. First one is folk that probably their life is constantly in chaos, and that really the food bank and how we operate is not probably appropriate. However, we understand they're still hungry, they still need help. And so on a Sunday morning, we have a Sunday morning breakfast. Anyone can come, open to all. And we have approximately 50 to 60 people come every Sunday and they get a hot breakfast and they get a bag of groceries or vegetables. And also during the week, on a Thursday night, we offer a small food bag to anyone that turns up at the door. But the food bank, we are dealing more with people who are in a temporary crisis. They've lost their job and they've had to go on to benefits, a relationship breakdown, they're struggling to make ends meet, struggling to make it enough to make choices. You know, do they pay the rent? Do they pay the electricity? Benefits don't pay a lot. So through approximately about 90 agencies who we work with in the Leith area, from the advice shop, to the social work departments, to the local GPs, to the local hospital, the sick kids hospital, for example, in Edinburgh. They will refer people that they have identified are in need, especially when it comes to providing food for themselves and their family. And we have like a voucher system, so they'll be given a voucher. It's not an intrusive thing, they just get a very simple voucher. We're never going to turn anyone away. But if people get in touch with us in advance, we will ask them to go to an agency to be referred. That's be the ideal way, because then that keeps it controllable with a small c. And we know, because we've not got enough to just open the doors, because we did, it would just be crazy. And we don't ask questions about their life. If they want to share stories with us, great.
When someone comes in, we simply take the voucher and then that's put aside, and then we go and get the box, and there's no question asked about that.
I think it would shock a lot of people to realise how many people do not have cooking facilities. All their facility is a kettle. And we are really fortunate that we've got quite a nice supply of other types of food that can just have water added, just so that they can make maybe a hot meal, maybe add it to instant potatoes or instant custard or instant pasta, things like that. That happens quite a lot. People not having cooking facilities, or people that are in bed and breakfast accommodation, that they're getting a breakfast and that's it, nothing else for the rest of the day.
If people come without a voucher, we would never turn them away. We always give people enough food for at least one day, if not more. And I think that's quite important, because the way we feel about this job that we're doing, we feel that we should feed people. And if I can look someone in the eye and ask them if they're hungry, and they say yes, then I don't think there's any way anybody could send them away without food. We need to care for people, and if feeding is a way to care for people, then that's the way we have to do it.
All our food is donated from a range of sources. Individuals who just, when they're going shopping, think about the Foodbank and they'll buy some extra. We have donations from companies and organisations who will do a collection in their workplace, collections from the local football club. Their supporters collected food and brought in, I can't remember what it was about half a ton of food, which was great. Our local supermarkets here in Leith are very supportive of the Foodbank, and they'll give us space over a weekend to approach people as they come in, and I can bring in 1 or 2 tons of food. People are very generous. Food banks have caught the general public's imagination. And I think it's the way people maybe in their own way feel that they can do something.
Leith's always been a community, and I think the people want to help their community, and that's why they're so generous.
There are some people who come regularly every month. There's a family who comes to Ella on a Friday, and they bring their children with them so that they can see where this donation is going and see what's happening to it. And I think maybe it might be a good idea if young people did realise that there are situations that sometimes you don't make yourself, that life deals, and that if there's not someone there to help people and pick them up, well, I don't know what would happen in society.
I can't get benefits because I get an occupational pension, which is too much for me to get sickness benefits or anything.
So it's just things not kind of
I
fitting
get housing
together.
benefit, but yeah, not fitting together, yeah.
So do you see this as a kind of tiding over operation at the moment?
Oh, definitely, yes. Hopefully I'll be back on my feet fairly soon.
This is the second time I've been in this situation, and the people that run these places I've never encountered such compassion, even beyond their remit. I burst into tears the first time I came to a place like this, just purely because I was bowled over by the generosity, and it really has made a massive difference to my life from being very depressed. It was the first sort of spark of help. It felt beyond feeding my belly. I met many people that have really made a difference in my life.
Was it a slow process you found getting to the stage where you thought, hang on a minute, I need to ask for a bit of a leg up here?
Yes, I think it's very difficult when you go from working and looking after yourself to suddenly being on a low income or no income. Trying to reach out and find the help and to ask for it is, you have to swallow your pride.
I think people find it comforting, if they're comfortable, to think that it's something extreme out there that could never happen to them.
Absolutely, yeah. I think, it's any one of us. It doesn't take much to go from having to not.
Slowly realised that the help was there, and at the start it is hard, really, because pride gets in the way, but the people you meet, it becomes easier and easier each time you go. You make friends. It's like a little community, really.
I think most of us have to have been in a pretty low place to take this step. So yes, we've all been, I imagine, in a pretty horrendous physical position, and that puts you in a torturous mental position. And this really does. It lifts you in a way that can't really be described in words.
You find that
It does lift you, yeah. The people here are so amazing, and it does energise you.
It's probably important to say we can't do this every week of our life. This is an emergency situation, but we have met people that we continue to see because they've been just so wonderful, such good people. The amount that is given, it's just, like, that's what bowled me over the first time. It's amazing what people give, and I know that my family give as well, because they know that I'm in this situation myself, so they help me and they help everybody else too. Everybody put a bit in.
After all the business of handing out food to people, giving them a cup of tea, hearing their stories, you've mentioned to me before, Ella, that you find it quite hard to stop thinking about people.
I do. I find it hard on a Friday when I go home to actually switch off, and especially if I have a Friday, as we had a couple of weeks ago, when I had two separate people telling me on a Friday that had been the worst week of their whole life. One young chap sitting in tears because he had had such a bad time. Personal circumstances were bad. His benefit system had gone all wrong and he had no money. The other young woman who had had a really bad diagnosis, a health problem, and it's really, really hard to shut the door at 5 o'clock when we go out here and not think about it. We also had a chap a few weeks ago when it was really, really cold, and we were giving out socks, and he actually took his shoes off and he put a pair of socks on. And I find that's really, really hard to think that a young man didn't have a pair of socks in a freezing cold day.
Good Friday is a day to think about suffering. Do you feel as if you understand a bit about suffering?
Every day. Even all the stuff over in Afghanistan, totally understand that. Totally understand the suffering, the pain, the violence. I didn't even have to go out my house to find it. It was there. I mean, my mum and the person that she was trying to say was my father. It was like, violence was constantly there. It was the first thing they leaned for if they couldn't get their own way. And the drugs, and then the drink. And then it was just spiralling out of control. I mean, I've been trying so hard for the last, say, about 10, 15 years to push that to one side and be like, right, I couldn't control that. That was nothing to do with me. I need to move on. But when you're a parent, dividing them, the two thoughts into rational, no, I couldn't do it. And I'm still finding it difficult. But every day is getting a bit better.
We have seen a big increase over the last year, and 60 to 70% of the reasons why they have come to the food bank, because we do ask, it says it's because of either benefit delays or benefit changes, sanctions, that type of thing, and also low pay through 0-hour contracts. So between the three of these things, benefit changes, benefit delays, and low pay through 0-hour contracts, that is the reasons, the majority of why people are coming. There's maybe people who come to the food bank who really maybe are just chancing it a bit. And there'll always be all the chances in society, that's part of society. But I think the good thing about what we do is because we talk to them and we get to know them, even the short time they're here, maybe half an hour, sometimes only 10 minutes, and I think their story comes out, this is genuine.
So the balance over the whole thing is that you can't not do this to help people.
No. 99.9% is people who are in genuine need. So I don't think we should stop serving the 99.9% for the sake of one or two that perhaps, were chancing their arm. That's what we have to do. We're here to serve.
I think everybody who comes in, you treat them as that person, don't you?
Yeah, that's right. Definitely try not to be judgmental with the people that come in. Everybody that comes in the door gets treated in exactly the same way, and it doesn't matter how they come in the door. They're all treated with respect and friendliness, and try to make them feel as though they're not asking for charity or anything, that they're just getting a nice wee helping hand that's going to keep them going for a wee while. Just try to make them go out the door feeling better.
What effect does it have on you personally, Ian? Does it get you down?
It doesn't get me down, but what it does annoy me that we have to have a food bank in the first place. Why have we not, as a country, not been able to give people what I would call, if they're working, a living wage, and also living hours? It's not because they're scroungers or skivers, because people are genuine in need.
We can say to one another to look out for somebody that's coming back on Monday or back on Friday who really needs a wee bit more tender love and care and just a wee bit, another half hour to sit and have a wee chat. And if you can tell each other that, I think that makes a difference.
I think so too. And it means they get a warmer welcome because we've been semi-introduced to each other, it's good.
What I feel about coming here, it's the choice between staying in and having your thoughts bouncing against the wall and not having your medication work because you've not got much food for the whole medication to kick in, or sleep all day, or it's like come to a place like this where the people are just so wonderful. They've got the biggest hearts that I've ever seen in my life. My life has always been people that have hated me. It's always been people, all right, we'll just kick out with the car brake and we'll take what we can get off them, but we'll just kick them at the curb. But coming here, nah, totally different. There is a God out there. I mean, I've never believed in it myself, but coming here and seeing the smiles on these wonderful people, I mean, that gives you hope. That gives you a prayer that you can think of, and leaving with a big smile on your face and having people that you can talk to that they see every day, and there's no stigma attached to it, and it's just the greatest feeling in the world. I've locked myself away for so long, basically trying to understand myself as well as my illness, and it's only now that I'm actually getting the help, and the train wheels are being oiled, it's set in track, so everything is going to get better. But it's good to have loads of people around you that are so positive and so energetic and are so mindful about other people's situation instead of just going about with their eyes closed.
Do you have to be strong to do this?
I don't know if you have to be strong. I think you maybe have to be strong in certain circumstances. And I do feel after it, when we close and go away, I just feel myself hoping that these people's lives are going to get better. I think the thought that this is how your life is going to be long term must be the most awful feeling, that days and weeks are going to be the same as this.
I come on a Friday with hope in my heart and joy to be able to just do a wee bit to make a few people feel a wee bit better.
What I would really like is for the day that comes when we don't have food banks. I don't know what Ella and I will do on a Monday and a Friday then, but we have to hope that one day there are no food banks, because people are earning enough to feed themselves and keep themselves warm and have a proper family life.
The gospel message, I would say, in what we do is unconditional love. The volunteers, some are, the majority are certainly from a church background, but there's an awful lot of volunteers who are not from a church background who just want to help as well. And there's that nice mix and balance. It's just being there as a friendly, secure presence amongst them. That's what we want to try and do, so they feel comfortable when they come into the food bank. Because people get embarrassed about having to ask for food. So what we have to do is make sure when they do come in, there's a comfortable, safe place for them without in any way put any more pressure or any more conditions. These things happen in life. We don't have control over all the time.
When I think of Good Friday and I think of the suffering, I suppose in a way you could relate it to what we're doing here today. And when you look suffering in the face at any level, then I think that something has to be done. And if this small thing that we're doing in the grand scale of things is helping, then this is what we're sent to do.
We can't just stop at Good Friday. If Good Friday was it and the crucifixion was it, what's the whole point of Christianity? We have to move on, because Christ came to relieve the suffering of the world, to bring about change, to say there is a different way that we should live in terms of more fairness, more justice for all, especially those who are more vulnerable in society. So I suppose part of the message of Good Friday, yes, is the suffering, but it's to move on from that. We are doing our little bit to relieve some of the suffering that we experience and see every day here in Leith. So that, if you like, is a link, but it's the bigger picture link rather than purely focusing on suffering and getting stuck there, that it's all about suffering and physical violence. No, we have to see what it means as we move on with the whole story of Christ and the whole story and message of Easter.
One of these days I'm going to be okay. One of these days I'm going to be strong enough to be independent and know what I want in life. And when that day comes, I want to be still like these ladies and these gentlemen that are working here. I want to still have a heart. This is a stepping stone for me to understand human nature again, to understand human beings again. Before I started coming here, I was getting a bit lost. I was getting a bit like, am I human or am I just a robot? I wasn't expecting nothing today because I didn't get referred. I was just expecting maybe kind of like a tiny little bag with tea bag, sugar, biscuits, kind of just little bits, because it's the tiniest little thing that cheers me up. But no, they've sorted me right out. And I'll be honest, I feel like crying. I mean, they're just absolutely amazing people. I mean, that's what she said to me the last time I came, when I was with all the homeless. She was like, "Oh, you made it." I was like, I was wanting to see your smile again. she was like, well, if you need us on Friday, definitely come. And I was like, it just shows they can see an honest, decent person in me. And put it this way, it's going to take really, really heartfelt and passionate people to save what we have got left. And that's the greatest thing about Scotland. We have got such passionate, true, honest people that are out there trying to help every single day.
I think for me, Good Friday was the day of suffering, but following Good Friday, we have Easter Day, when hope springs again. You could dwell on Good Friday and think of the darkness, but because we know the other side of the story, that on Easter Day, Christ will